can't give the impression that neither of us can drink a glass of water. Right. Hello and welcome back to Widowed AF. You're here with Rosie and Jon Gill-Moss. See, I've stopped introducing you as a guest now. I think that means you're a permanent feature.
I'm part of the woodwork now.
Yeah, I think
Hi
you're
everybody.
in now.
How's everyone doing?
So we've had, personally, a fairly stressful is probably the word, emotional, taxing few days over here.
Yeah. All the above.
Yeah. There's just, we've had some stuff going on. I won't kind of go into all the details because they're not really relevant to the podcast. But what has happened is it's resulted in both of us, I suppose, showing a bit of vulnerability to some people outside of our immediate family unit. And actually, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but every time I do it, I feel a little bit better and a little bit lighter. And so, yes, it's been tough, but I do think I feel a little bit better, if that makes sense. I'm tired because yesterday we got. It's bad news, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not catastrophic. But we've been waiting to find out about a school place for our son, and this was the last chance saloon really of a school locally that can meet his needs. So it landed quite heavily because I really thought he was going to get this place, and yeah, it hurt, and it really hurt. And Jon was there; he saw how heavy it landed. But I don't know, you've got to process it the way you've got to process it. And so, yes, I was fully lying on the floor sobbing yesterday. Yeah. But here I am today sitting behind a microphone, talking to you guys. So I really think that the power is getting yourself back up again. And we all get knocked down. I think I'm about to quote a Chumbawamba song, though. So this is dangerous territory.
I could change it to a Rocky quote.
You get knocked down, but you get up again. And you're all going to sing that for the rest of the day. I do apologise. So I'm being quite raw and open at the beginning of this episode because that's kind of how I feel. And I do try and give you guys the raw honesty of what being a widow 5.5 years down the line is like. And you do get a lot left with, it's tough, isn't it? Because there's a lot of decisions we have to make and a lot of things we have to figure out. And to be honest, a lot of the barriers I'm finding with schools are as a result of the trauma that he received when his dad died, because he was 5 and he's autistic and it was very difficult for him to process. So it's almost like there are limitations now being placed upon him and his future because of his dad dying. So that's why I think it's landed so very hard. And also it's kind of a culmination of 2 years of a fight. So I am now, can't believe I'm saying this, but looking into the possibility of some sort of combined or home school for him in the future. But again, this is not for this podcast, but I may do another one.
Yeah, and for the first time ever, we both went down pretty much within hours of each other. Full disclosure, I'm having a few personal family issues. It's forcing me to confront a few things and question a few of my grounding morals, so to speak, and having to make choices that I never thought I'd have to make. So I was sort of dealing with that and also trying to console Rose, and Rose was dealing with her, trying to console me, and it was just a big snotty, like screamy mess. But you know what? We both woke up this morning, and yes, we have a little bit of an emotional hangover. But I certainly feel like something's been poured out and put back in a drawer where I can access it safely, rather than it just coming and kicking me in the nuts, if I'm honest.
And also, neither of us have an actual hangover, which for anybody that listens regularly will know is really good, because I am still in recovery from a problem with alcohol. I think you're always in recovery from alcohol. I don't think you can go. I think you get out of it. And like I said earlier, a friend, or two friends, sort of witnessed this moment, and I was, I rage quit some WhatsApp groups, and I just had a bit of a meltdown, really, but I've apologised and nobody hates me and it's okay and I'm all right now, and I've figured out some stuff and we're okay. But I suppose maybe this Father's Day triggers more than we expect and things like this. It's just, there's a lot going on, isn't there? There's a lot going on.
And also, you want to make a shout out to you guys as well. You guys, because you're all dealing with the same shit show. Some of you have been fortunate enough to meet new partners. Some of you are, you're running this down.
You're still flying solo
by yourself with your own rucksack and still trying to wage your own war against the mountain. Yeah. So, guys, keep going. You'll get there.
Yeah, and it's so difficult making decisions, particularly, when children are involved and having to make these big life-changing decisions that you feel at the time so much is riding on, and you have to do it by yourself. And yes, we are very lucky that we have each other to talk to. And I'm very, very aware of that. So for anybody who is still having to make all these choices, or, will always have to make these choices alone when they didn't expect to, that's shit's hard, guys. It is tough. And actually, John referred to it as the shit show, which beautifully brings me to talking about Monday's episode.
Yeah, can you tell I like that name?
I thought it was accidental. Was that planned?
Thanks, Steph.
Got skills, boy. So yes, it was the wonderful Steph May Hills, who you may have recognised because she left us our first ever voice note right back at the beginning. I say right back like it wasn't just 5 and a bit months ago, not 6, as I put in the Instagram post. And she beautifully has supported us and advocated for us and been really kind of on board with everything we're doing here. And so it was really, really lovely to talk to her. And I knew the sort of periphery of her story, but to find out the enormity of what happened. And actually since then, she has left me another voice note. So we'll talk a little bit, and then she's with her permission, I'm going to play a little extract from that voice note, because you'll understand then one of the reasons we sort of started the discussion about mental health, because it does seem to be an area people are very interested in and very applicable to so many of our stories. So do you want me to sort of refer back, John, or would you like the honours to talk? I bet you haven't got your notes in front of you, have you?
I don't have my notes in front of me now. I do have them on my computer, but the computer's currently recording the show, which is a missight on me. But
old school pen and paper. If you had 100 black biros, John, you'd make notes all over the place too.
Oh, without a doubt, I'd be writing on the walls.
You can share. I've got enough to go around, but just
it'd be like a sanitarium.
Might get you some blue ones so you don't touch mine.
Go down the same line of words that I say pretty much for every single guest we have, because you're all amazing anyway. But what a woman again, like the trauma she had to face, the things she had to like contend with, and then solidify in her mind, and then pop out the other side.
And she's another one that's gone on to do fundraising and things. Again, this kind of legacy aspect. So Steph's husband, Martin, he was very young. He was 32 when he died. He had a cardiac arrest at home in November. And she had performed CPR on him. And it sounds, if I'm honest, just absolutely fucking awful to have to do this to somebody, and the children in the house. I mean, just awful for her. And then literally days later, she found out that he had an entirely secret life and a son who was 10 years old, and possibly an affair, but she's not sure on that. So again, it's one of these double blows, isn't it? You've found something terrible and catastrophic and shocking has happened, but then there's a second smack in the face to find out that you've been betrayed.
Yeah.
And whilst this
complex grief, eh?
Yeah, and this did. I mean, the son was conceived before they were together. I think so. So it's, I don't know, the fact that he had kept this lie, and the fact that she found out that family members and friends had kept this lie, that really hurt her. Actually, that really hurt, and you can understand why. And she's another one that's done some fairly heavy-duty lifting on this. She's done the EDMR and the therapy, and she even went back and listened to the 999 recording, didn't she?
That when I heard that going through the editing, that gave me the shivers. I don't think I'd ever have the balls to play those sort of recordings back. That's brutal, Steph. That's brutal.
It made me think I suppose there must be one that the boat must have made for Ben. I don't know who they would have called, but I don't think I want to hear it back. And I don't think there'd be any benefit for me at this point, but I guess it was her on the call, wasn't it? Maybe she wanted to because you do get this kind of blackout in traumatic situations, don't you?
I think she was possibly trying to convince her own mind she did everything she could.
Yeah, maybe.
Which, I think she even references that they said she did.
Yeah, I mean,
she did a remarkable job.
Having met Steph very briefly through a screen, I can categorically say she will have done everything she could. I don't think she would have done anything else. She said some really, really poignant things. And one of them was that he'd given her back her spark when they met, because she had a small 2-year-old daughter at the time who was also called, is also called Holly. And
Good name. It's a good name.
and I think, it just gave her back her spark, and then that in the blink of an eye, that spark can be extinguished, and really that tugged on me. And then, but I'm going to play you now the clip that she left me a couple of days ago. And as I said, it is with her permission. All we've done is cropped it slightly for time purposes, but we haven't edited it at all, because this is her words. And as with the conversations, this is how we do it. So we're just going to play this for you, and then we'll come back in and talk a little bit.
Hi, Rosie. I just wanted to say that I really enjoyed today's episode, not just for the giggling, but yeah, like listening to all about the depression side of stuff. And Martin really struggled with his mental health before he died. I didn't say this on my episode, but he really struggled, and he actually went missing one night back in August, and I had the police involved to try and find him. And obviously we did find him, but yeah, he'd hit like real rock bottom. And then obviously in November he had the cardiac arrest, and it was awful, because then people were making the assumption that he'd taken his own life. So yeah, just listening to you guys and talking about depression, it just made me realise like how bad he was feeling. But men being men, and in John's words, because they're anchors, they don't talk to us, they don't tell us. So yeah, thank you. It's really helped me today. So yeah, anyway, have a lovely weekend. I'm over a minute now, so I'm going to go. But and also hope Sunday goes as well as can. And see you later. Bye.
I am really grateful to Steph for sharing that, because that's quite a brave thing to do, to talk about somebody's mental health, and particularly as we're very aware of men's mental health. So I'm really grateful to her for sharing that, because that again is another thing to contend with, because as we know from speaking to people who have lost their partners to suicide, it is a very different form of grief. It comes laden down, and for people to suspect that he had taken his own life when he hadn't, that must have been quite difficult. And I suppose people probably did question when Ben went, because how often does something like this happen, right? And the canoe man, I think, was still quite fresh in people's minds.
Again, that comes under legacy protection.
Yes.
You don't want people to think. It's like we don't tell people we're divorced.
Yeah.
Because they did leave us.
Yeah. So we always find that we have to over-explain the situation, because people, the complication we have is 2 kids in the same year, because it's, they're twins. And then we're a blended family. But yeah, the same. I want people to know that they were taken from us. They didn't walk away from us and the children, because that's something that we try very hard to protect.
Yeah. But she does mention, again, that it's like, men, come on, we got to figure this out, guys. We got to figure this out. We need a way of getting the initial stuff out so we can process this stuff, because it's obviously the current regime that's out there, as good and a cracking start that it is, it doesn't seem to be enough.
No.
Because it's not reaching the ones that it needs to reach. The ones that have got the show, the bravado, the big man, and the rest of us, like, they don't trust anyone enough to show vulnerability, because every time they do, they get absolutely kicked for it. So how do we reach them? I mean, I'm open to discussion on this further. If anyone wants to come and have a one-to-one and flesh this out, that'd be brilliant. But,
yeah, look, see, you're always grafting, aren't you? Always hustling.
Always hustling. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Well, and again, I think we're very much aware of men's mental health more, and we're seeing more tragic losses to it. And I was going to talk. I've just had a 2-hour session at a tattooist, which I'm so delighted with. I might even share a picture on the socials, so prepare for a picture of my leg incoming. But as I walked in, there was a sort of laminated piece of paper, and it was in memory of a young man who had taken his life, and it's written by his mum, and it genuinely brought me to, not quite to tears, but certainly a little moist in the eyes. And I just thought, oh my God, and she was sort of talking a little bit about his mum and how shocked she is. And yeah, I don't know. It's just awful, isn't it? And you just feel so frightened for the future of our children and everybody. But I think really I've only started talking openly about my mental health and telling people that actually the reason I'm not doing something is because I'm having a really bad anxiety attack, or I'm having a panic attack, or I know it's going to cause me undue stress or trigger the addictions. And I don't think I've been met by any animosity or resistance at all. Everybody has been so kind and compassionate. And most people have actually come back with examples of their own difficulties. And it comes down to this idea that as soon as we are open with our friends male or female, we all reveal that we've probably got similar sort of shit going on. Sorry, that's got a bit sort of heavy, hasn't it, that one? I suppose it's something I feel really passionately about, and we do. You worry all the time that are the kids going to be okay, or our friends, our families? I am an overthinker and a worrier by nature, anyway. But also tattoos really hurt, don't they? I'm having some sort of midlife crisis and I'm having quite a large leg piece done. And I was reassured that it wasn't going to hurt that much, and they were liars. So it does hurt.
But I'm also having the same midlife crisis, but my arm's going under the pen rather
so
than the leg.
tragic.
But that's what happens when you have a tattooist in your village. Like, it's easy.
And she's amazing as well. I will tag her in the Instagram post, and I don't get a freebie, although I do need to transfer the money for this one. But so technically, so far it's a freebie. But I'm not, we're not promoting her or anything. We genuinely think she's amazing, and she's a woman tattooist, and she loves country music, and you just feel so completely at ease in her company. So big shout out for Becky at Define Line Tattoos in West Malling. Thanks for really hurting me for 2 hours this morning.
Just to note, we're not paid for this promotion.
Nobody pays us.
we don't get paid at the minute.
We do this for the love of it. But yeah, how gross is that we're just having our midlife tattoo crisis together? But the couple that permanently mark their body together and all that.
Stay together.
Yeah.
So what are you guys doing for your midlife crisis? The ones that are there in this glorious land of what do we do next?
Memorial tattoos, because you've had some blackbirds incorporated into a tattoo, haven't you? There's memorials for people you've lost. I have a feather for Ben on my wrist. The one I've just had done is kind of just for fun, really. I just like it, and I felt like it, if I'm honest. And I think you do get to your 40s and just go, why do I care? Like, what am I worried about? People might think what? I don't know. And when you really break it down and just think, do you know what? If you want to do it, just do it. So, I mean, within reason, guys, let's not all do too much of the crazy. Certainly not on my say-so. I am going to touch on something that's been in the press this week. There has been, I'm sure most of you are aware, there is a submarine missing. So for those of you who don't know, my husband, Ben, my first husband, he presumably drowned during a diving trip off Dover back in 2018, and his body has never been found. So there were search teams and the like out looking for him, and I'm trying to keep away from this at the moment. And I just actually wanted to mention I had a message out the blue from Nikki Outlaw. I just said, I'm sending you hugs yesterday. And I thought, what a sweet and thoughtful woman to see it on the news, to realise, because she understands that. In fact, we talked because there was a collision, another motorbike collision at the same race that her husband died in years before. And I just thought that's the compassion of widowhood, or people who've been through a terrible thing. A terrible thing will leave you scarred and vulnerable and broken to a certain extent. It will, but it will also give you this compassion and kindness and thought beyond your own circle. So you will think, actually that's going to be really difficult for so-and-so, because I understand that. And it's a kind of above and beyond level, isn't it, that widows go to? And actually I have had from people who aren't widows as well, but I just thought, considering Nikki and I have never met in person and we spoke for an hour on microphone, for her to show that compassion back to me was really sweet.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically we are watching the news at the moment, aren't we, babe? John's keeping an eye on it, so I know.
I mean, to be fair, I don't ever really watch the news anymore because it's doom and gloom, isn't it?
Oh my God! It's, if you suffer like I do, you can't, because you'd just be a gibbering wreck in the corner that wouldn't leave the house.
Just send me cat videos on TikTok, and I'm happy. They keep me happy.
I like a good ADHD TikTok video myself, personally. Oh, and I do hear that the Widowed AF Instagram account is just, sensational.
We will get back to doing more content.
Yeah,
on there soon.
What we are focusing on at the moment is is building the podcast, getting the studio set up, booking new guests, and possibly looking to do some more things as well, which we'll talk about a little bit more in the future. So that and Instagram, I've mentioned it before, it's not our natural stomping ground social media. So we at some point may bring in somebody to do it. But quite frankly, I like the way that this has grown without any marketing and PR and budgets and, having to say like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Although, let's not take that away from him. He loves it. But I really like the way this particular venture has grown so organically. So I sort of don't want to tit about for likes at the moment, but I might get John to.
Yeah. And just as a side note, I'm setting up systems and management stuff in the back so I could do your guest management better, because we all know what a cluster that is, which I do apologise for, but that's not my main skill.
Well, not everybody knows, because actually you've just outed yourself, because most of the listeners haven't been on.
Well, so, I mean, do an application form, you get a rather dry email from me about a month or so after you do the application.
This is, you guys, just the speed at which this thing has escalated means that we are chasing our tails a bit, but we are absolutely loving it, and it's become so important and valuable to, I think, to both of us healing, and also for giving an outlet for all this kind of information and knowledge that we've picked up, to be able to share it, and without boring the tits off all our friends all the time. And I hope that people still continue to love and enjoy what we do, because we're really enjoying doing it over here.
But the question I wanted to ask is, we set up the Facebook group. Now, me personally, I can never find it in Facebook. So I don't know if you guys are enjoying it or not. Would you prefer me to try a dedicated WAF community app that you could install on your phone, or a website you could go to, or shall we keep it in Facebook? And I'm going to let you, the listeners, decide which way you want to do, because it'd be really, really good to get more conversations going with all of you, and the ones who don't want to come on mic, because you still have a voice.
And on that note, I am doing another anonymous episode tomorrow. So we have another guest who would prefer to remain anonymous. It'd help if I could speak, wouldn't it? What with being a podcast host, remain anonymous. So she's written me a very, very moving letter, which I'm going to decide the best way to broadcast to you, because I want to do it justice. But for now, we are going to leave you guys to it. We will be back on Monday. I'm trying to remember whose episode was out on Monday. Oh, it's David. Is it David? David. Oh, this is the surname I can't. Canafogel. David Canafogel. He, how many kids has he got? I've forgotten how many it is. It's ridiculous.
All of them.
He has all the children.
He has 8 children.
He has all the children. And
I wish I'd pressed record when we were asking how to pronounce his surname. So hopefully you're not too offended, David. I think Rose did quite a good job on that.
But for now, everybody, please do take care of yourselves. It is tough out there, and you are all fighting fires and doing amazing things. And if it helps hearing it from a virtual stranger, I am so proud of all of you for just getting up every day and keeping going. So lots of love, and we'll be back with you soon.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.